All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Sandra Sheffer, the host of Racing the Races, and I am here with no other than Commissioner Dr. Katrina Touchstone from my adopted city of West Park. You know what I mean? Last year, when it was time to vote, I went and did early voting in West Park. So West Park is my new adopted city. Y'all know I'm in Miramar, but West Park is dear to my heart. So Dr. Touchstone wants to come here and talk about all the great things she's doing in the city of West Park, what she wants for people to do to stay engaged. She has some of her, Joy B. Smith, who's a fan of the show, who comes in all the time. She's running for re-election in November. So we're going to talk a little bit about her so y'all can show her support. We have another young lady by the name of Christina Everard, who's a homeowners association person in Miami Gardens, but she's running for seat 4 in West Park. So we're going to talk a little bit about her. So so make sure you should like, share, subscribe, share the feed so you can keep your friends informed. Subscribe to both the page on Facebook and on our YouTube channel. And so I think I've spoken enough. And go ahead, Dr. Commissioner Touchstone. Welcome
Sandra,
to the show.
I know I'm glad to be here. This is not my first time, and I greatly appreciate your support. You guys supported me before I even became elected, and I appreciate you following up with me on the progress of my first year in office. It's amazing. It has been 1 year since I've been elected last November 2022, serving in that capacity. So it's a lot of good things that I'm trying to accomplish within the city. You all know my backstory of how I started in this political arena as far as a advocate for the community. So I've transitioned to have a seat at the table. So I'm trying to make the biggest impact and do the most good for the most people while I'm in the seat, right? Um, like I was sharing with you in the background that, a lot of people don't realize that they are at the head of our government, right? The people are at the top. We are serving the people and being the voice for the people. So basically, I've been working in that same vein, being the voice and the advocate for the people. I try to get out within the community and touch bases with my constituency to ensure that everything that I'm advocating for on the day is in line with what the people want. In fact, just recently, I had a town hall meeting on January the 3rd, at the beginning of the new year. And it was really important to have that town hall meeting because we have not historically had town hall meetings in our community. At the meetings, there's not really a lot of transparency. So I've been working very hard to change that. I've also been working on the communication piece because a lot of times people want to get involved, but they just don't know how. So I've been overutilizing my social media platforms, either my commissioner page or my community led page, which are the West Park word of mouth. I have a private page and a public page. So I do a lot of sharing on there on information that people can absolutely use to improve their quality of life. The meeting that we had in January 3rd as the town hall, it was really timely. I had already scheduled the meeting prior to the infamous incident that occurred on December 19th that shook our community of West Park. Many people may be familiar with the home that exploded on 20th Street. In fact, that location is just a block um, west of where I actually reside on 20th Street. So I immediately, when that incident happened, it could be felt for, miles away. I actually thought, yeah, I actually thought that it was a
Yeah.
plane that crashed or something of that nature because we are relatively close to, two airports. So I just really thought that it was a plane that crashed or there was some type of bombing that occurred. I had never even fathomed the fact that it was a house that exploded, right? That's not something that you typically hear about.
So
The
is the
amazing
first
thing,
of all, before we continue, and I'm sorry to interrupt you,
go
is the
ahead.
family okay? Did
The
everybody in the
family
house
is okay.
survive?
I was just about to get to that.
Okay.
There was four people that was inside the home when the home actually exploded, and they all survived. There was no fatalities, thank God. So we're coining that the miracle on 20th Street, right? Because
Right.
it's a miracle that there's nothing left of the home. The home actually exploded. So pieces of debris went everywhere, and consequently, it also damaged surrounding area homes as well, right? So we needed some urgent and impactful decisions to be made on behalf of the residents. Um, there's no secret that I feel like, we have done steps as a city organization to bring relief to the residents, but the residents don't feel like it's sufficient, right? The feedback that I'm getting is that they want tangible solutions at the city level. I have shared and I have been transparent in the fact that we have over $8 million in our reserves, right? Um, and I feel as though that we can do something on the city level to be most impactful to meet our residents at their current need and their current circumstances. We have had some resources from the county, as well as the state, that has come down in the form of SHIP funds and utilizing our partners with the Family Success Center and so forth. But there's a lot of different steps and requirements that come along with that. For instance, let me just explain. With the SHIP funding, the individuals impacted would have to have a 10-year forgivable loan or mortgage on their home if they were to utilize any of those funds. In addition to that, they have to use county contractors to do the work that is required. In addition to that, the county only requires or is only going to cover windows, roofs, and doors, which a lot of the individuals that have been impacted by this incident, those are the main things that have been impacted. But we have some outlying residents that have more impact, more substantial impact the closer they get to the scene of the incident, right? Where they have some internal damages. In fact, 4 homes were deemed unlivable after this event. So we have some displacement, we have some mental health issues, and so forth. Anyhow, getting back to the SHIP funds, right? They cover the windows, doors, and the roofs. But there's an out of pocket expense of about $4,500 that is not a waivable expense. And what I feel like we can do with some of the funds from the reserve and other sources is that we can help to supplement their out of pocket costs. So even if they have homeowners insurance, because some of them don't have homeowners insurance, but those that have homeowners insurance and they are going through that process, they still will have a set deductible that they have to pay. So what my idea is that we should try to minimize the cost burden on the residents. This is not to say that the city is liable in any way for anything. There has been no investigation conclusion to the matter. So we can't really say definitively what the cause was, right? So I'm not saying that the city is in any shape or form liable for this incident, but at the same time, we have a due diligence to do the best good for the most people and do what we can that's in our realm to do.
Okay.
So with that being said,
Okay.
I've been advocating for us to do more in that realm. Also, I think that what we can do is to expedite the permitting and probably even waive internally the permitting fees and the inspection and so forth, costs and so forth. So I'm not saying that we should be trying to do anything to rebuild homes, but we definitely can do something. In addition to that, I've been advocating for us to come together as a community on a community level. West Park has a plethora of tradesmen as far as contractors are concerned, builders, and so forth that can actually lend their services in this situation. I think that we need to think outside the box. We have Home Depot right next to our city hall. I think that we should definitely try to utilize them as a partner to at least see what they can do to help to supply building supplies or what donations that they will be able to offer to our residents who may not have the finances to rebuild, right? Again, as I indicated, this has been a traumatic situation for the whole entire community. And I just think that we need to do our best to come together, either on a grassroots level and as a government level, to make sure that we make our residents whole again from this situation.
Okay, so you said a lot, but I was taking notes, right? I was taking notes so I could break some things down. So you mentioned a couple of things, and I'll get back to them, but I want to talk about some of the into some of the details of what how you explained what happened with this explosion and what it is that what's being offered to them, right? So first,
Okay.
so I'm gonna start with you said that the investigation has not concluded in terms of indicating what was the reason why the house exploded. So no one knows why the house exploded as of right
Right.
now, right? So there's
Right.
no
Nothing definitive. So there's speculation that it was caused by a gas explosion, but exactly how, those details have not been finite.
so the speculation is on part of the people who live in the house, the neighbors, but or has there been any agency that's actually responsible for investigating what happened? Have they said that
Mhm.
that's what they believe, but they're doing more
Right.
investigation to conclude that that's in fact what happened?
Well, they definitely have indicated that it was a gas explosion, but how that explosion actually happened, what triggered that to occur, right? Because now they have to go back and do root cause analysis to find out how did that happen so that we can actually understand how we can prevent this from occurring again. So
Oh,
that's
so
what I'm
then
saying. That finite report as far as giving all the details of what they have come to the conclusion of how it happened has not been released.
okay, and so that means that it's possible that it might have been something on the part of the homeowner where there was something that they did or didn't do properly, and that's what happened. Or it could be some sort of mechanical issue in terms of like
Hmm.
the whatever the piping or the that leads into the house that provides the gas could have been that issue.
Hmm.
So that is what they haven't determined whether or not it might have been some fault of the owner or it may be something beyond their control that caused this in
Correct.
fact to happen. So that's what they're
Correct.
trying to
Correct.
decide. Okay.
So that's what
All
they're
right.
trying to decide now.
All right. And you and I don't not to get all up in their business. And if you can't answer this, that's okay too. So is it that the homeowners did not have any homeowners insurance that would cover the damage to the home, or they have it and it's just that maybe their deductible is too high and they can't um uh that they're not in a position to rebuild at this moment?
Well, no, some individuals have disclosed that they don't have homeowners insurance. Of course, this happened in the subdivision of Carver Ranches, and our community has been established since the early 1940s. So it only comes with that most of these homes are basically paid for if they're generational homes, right? And we are a tight knit community, so a lot of people homes are don't currently have a mortgage, right? And Florida law is that if you don't have a mortgage, you don't necessarily are required to have the insurance, right? And then with the couple fact that there's an insurance issue or insurance crisis, where the price of insurance are going up astronomically, right? There's an affordability component to that too. So it's a mixture of a lot of the things and a lot of the reasons that you're saying that our community really need additional resources specific to meet their needs.
And I can speak on the affordability part. Like I'm telling you, my homeowners insurance went so high, I didn't know like what to do, you know? So, and so we don't want to even suggest that it's like irresponsibility on the part of anybody because the
Right.
numbers just went into a space that it was like, how am I supposed to be able to make up this difference when I didn't get
Exactly.
like, I might have got a 5% raise at my job, maybe that, right? But my
And,
insurance absolutely doubled, right? Like it's
right.
tripled since 3 years ago, but it doubled since the year before. So,
Right.
the fact that some folks don't have insurance, especially if they don't need to have it, that is not a judgment, and that doesn't suggest that they will be irresponsible because really some of the numbers are prohibitive. Like even and then if they
Correct.
go and put forced place on there, you
Mhm.
definitely can't pay that. You know what I mean? So it is absolutely insane because I actually just had to switch my insurance company because I could do absolutely nothing with what the numbers were that the insurance company that I've had for over 20 years was
Right.
trying to charge me for the house. I can't do this. Not, even if I
Exactly.
wanted to, it can't happen. You know what I'm saying?
It's
So
borderline like price gouging because they know that typically individuals really want to protect their assets, but they're making it to where it's not affordable for
mhm.
them. because everything have went up. If you look at it, food, gas, every expense have went up. But we're not at the threshold where we're still that we have affordable wages, right?
Right, right.
So,
And,
so
and you know, and we went to school and got fancy degrees and stuff like that was supposed to, like we did what they told us to do when we were growing
right,
up. And I'm like, I don't see how this helping. Like this is doing me very little good at this point.
right,
Because every
right.
time I figure out a way to increase the income, then I find out I got more health insurance to pay, I got more car insurance to pay, I got more
Yes,
homeowners insurance to pay. The amount of money that I just spend on insurance monthly is it
it's
absolutely
astounding.
doesn't
I
make any
know.
sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's a
And
lifestyle
I
change,
agree.
you
Me
know.
and me and my friend that is also a pharmacist like myself, we were talking. We was like, how do other people make it? Because we feel like we make it minimum wage, right? And we make relatively decent salaries. So we're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, how are other people able to make it and have a good quality of life? We're looking baffled because as a potentially middle class high earner, 51% of your salary is gone before you even can make it.
I mean, you talking about good quality of life. I'm just glad I'm here, and I'm glad that I'm just happy with the fact that I'm here, right? So I give
Right,
God the glory every time I wake up in the morning. So I be thanking Lord, and then the rest of it, I'll be like, well, I guess I'm just have to be grateful that I'm here because I can't do nothing. I don't know that high quality, good quality life. I think it's just in my perspective that the fact that I'm happy that I woke up today is good enough for me right now. That's
right.
the only way I can get through these days. Because the rest of it, I'm like, you can't
Yeah,
go nowhere. You can't do anything. You trying to figure out like
exactly.
how many times are we gonna eat today? It might just be once because who can do it?
Right. It's not a matter, but the fact of the matter is that if we are relatively considered high earners and middle class and we struggling, just imagine
I'm
what
telling
other
you.
people are feeling and the impact that they are experiencing in their lives, right?
Yeah.
So I say it's a good point that you bring up that it's not a level of irresponsibility, but let's face the facts. Things every day are getting more and more unaffordable,
Yeah.
right? And they're pushing you to be codependent on social programs.
And they got
You
us
know,
yelling at our children because I made some eggs this morning for my daughter and she didn't eat all of it. And I'm like, girl, like you better figure out how you about to eat the rest of this because we
absolutely
are not in no position to be throwing away
to be
no food
wasted,
right now,
right?
right? And
Absolutely,
all of that has an effect. Like, so, it's one thing about you're trying to be, choose happiness and be good and all of
right,
this kind of
right.
stuff. But just things that you can't control is adding some level of stress to your life that you're like, listen, y'all better eat every ounce of food that you take from me right now,
Every
or else I'm gonna
grade,
starve you later. Like, even the dog, I'm like, yo, that's all you getting today. Like, we can't do nothing for you. You eating
right,
tomorrow because
right.
all of this is absolutely costing too much. So I hear you, because I was thinking like, heck, if I could get away with no insurance, I surely would not be spending that kind of money. And again, and it's not a matter of judgment, being irresponsible. And insurance is one of those things they make us pay for because we're afraid, right? Like we're afraid,
Yes,
like, well, what if
the
something
risk,
happens?
right,
What if
right. The
something
risk.
happens, right? And not only just in the homeowners, I'm gonna go into health for a little bit. So
Oh
my
yeah,
my children's health insurance policy just went up, and
absolutely.
it's gonna cost me $1,000 to insure two 14-year-olds, right? I'm like, what are the odds that my children are gonna cost me $12,000 a year for any kind, even if they go to the doctor every month
Mm-hmm.
for the rest of the year, those visits are not going to add up to $12,000. But that's what they want me to pay. But then I'm just like, well, what if? Because I'm a person that had a major medical health issue,
Right.
so I know, so I understand the benefit of insurance, and I'm just like, yo, we not going around uninsured because I know what can happen. But I'm like, they scaring me into spending that amount of money to insure
Mm-hmm.
14-year-olds, right? So
Correct.
again, and even if someone has to decide between health and home, they're probably going to choose health. So just those things might be impacting someone's decision, whether or not they're going to insure their home or insure their car or whatever. So let's not have judgment on those folks that had their paid for homes uninsured, and who
Mm-hmm.
expects a house to blow up? You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So,
right.
I mean, come
And
on.
typically, let me just point on that too. Typically, in a circumstance of a natural disaster, FEMA will come in and help to assist. But this
Right.
was not a natural disaster. So then there's no FEMA that's coming on the horizon to kind of save people In this instance, they only come on natural disasters and are like terrorism or something like that, where there has been a declared state of emergency and so forth. Well, for a explosion in a city, that doesn't count for FEMA.
Yeah.
So those resources and that particular cavalry is not coming to save the day. So
Oh,
that's the only difference. At least if you were to have a hurricane or something catastrophic of a natural uh, substance or resource or a tornado or something happen, FEMA will come in and help to assist in
mm.
those situations. But there's no FEMA when you have a house explosion. It's just not one of the reasons or their scope.
Right. And so you talked about something called the SHIP fund that may be able to assist these individuals, but they have to take out a 10-year for you said a
Forget
10-year forgivable loan. So does that mean that they're going to make payments and then after 10 years they don't have to pay the balance? Like could you explain that a little bit because maybe that
okay.
might be something
The
that someone else
forgivable
can do in
right.
a
So the
different situation.
forgivable So the forgivable loan is a non-interest bearing forgivable loan, whereas they will do like a secondary or tertiary mortgage and or put a like a lien on it, right? And after 10 years and 1 day, it's forgiven. You don't have to pay anything back. But for any reason that you're not in that home or in that home for less than 10 years and 1 day, you have to pay all of the money back.
So they're forced to stay in the home until for at
Correct,
least 10 years
correct,
in a
correct.
day, right?
Yeah,
And but at the time when they're the 10 years in a day, are they making any payments or they're not making
no,
payments at
they're not
all?
required to make any payments or anything like that. It's kind of like having your student loans in forbearance and nothing happens to the account. You don't have to make periods for a period of time. And then once that period is over, if you don't meet the requirements of the forbearance, then it's over with. You get what I'm saying? If that makes
Okay.
sense.
So that would be helpful
So,
because I was thinking like, if what if one of the persons whose home was like an elderly person, right? Like, how
right,
are they going? Because my mother gets Social Security, and listen, if that lady wasn't smart and had like a rental property, I don't know how she would do it. Like, it's just
right,
those
right.
numbers don't add up. So it's good to know that there's no financial requirement on those individual parts if they do get a chance to participate in this program.
Right, right.
And then
But there
when you
is
talked
an
about,
income restriction, though. There is an income
oh,
restriction
okay.
depending on the household. Like there's a threshold. So let's just keep in mind that this is state funding, right? So there's requirements when you are fiduciary requirement when you are get utilizing state, federal, funding and so forth. So basically, they have repurposed the SHIP program that is usually for small minor home repairs or weatherization strengthening or for mobility renovations, right?
So can
Like
you
people,
spell that whatever what this shift is? Because when I'm gonna cut up this video
it's
and
it's
add that piece so I can.
it's just like it sounds. SHIP, SHIP, and I forget
Oh,
exactly what it stands for.
oh,
Uh,
okay, that's
I-
okay. That's
yeah,
good.
but it's a program that the county has had for a significant amount of time. The only thing is that they have opened up the application process specifically for those who have been impacted by the explosion, which is great, right?
Right.
However, like I said, there's an out of pocket expense. Yes, it's a forgivable loan for if you stay in the home for 10 years and 1 day. However, one of the things or one of the some of the trepidation that people have with utilizing it is that it's not even forgivable if the person dies, right? So, say for instance, the person has well intentions on staying in the home for 10 years and 1 day, but let's say they pass away, then that debt is then passed on as a lien on the home, and whoever is the beneficiary would be responsible for paying that
So
back.
that's when you have like what I was thinking of the 70-year-old that probably can't afford to
Correct.
pay. Who we would hope they get to live to be 80 in one more day, but it's possible
Right.
that they may not, right? And then so
Right.
now the
Right.
rest of
Right.
the family is burdened with that. So that was
Right.
thanks for explaining
So
and
that's a
clarifying that
concern.
point.
Then, like you said, there's a whole affordability crisis going on. So, coupled with the fact that in order for them to get these SHIP funding, they still have to come out of pocket for $4,500,
Mm-hmm.
which in a time like this, that this happened around the holidays, December
Hmm.
19th. A
You
lot
like
of
me
people
with
are
4,500. I ain't got it. So
right. I ain't got
like,
it. And it's the first of the year, taxes are due, everything like that.
hmm,
So, people are really strapped for cash around this time of the year, just in general. And that's why, everybody can't wait for their taxes to hit so they can get some return on
right,
their taxes. So
right.
it's just an overall difficult time for everybody in the economy. Um,
So I
so
wanted
I'm
to ask one other. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wanted to ask one other point. So when you also mentioned that it something only repairs windows, roofs, and doors. Is that the SHIP program or is
that's
that
the
something different?
program. Yeah,
So
that's
the
the
so the
ship.
person who house blew up and all the walls came off, they're gonna give you windows, doors, and a roof, but you don't have no walls to attach any of that to.
Right. And some people like one of the neighbors adjacent to that, she had significant damage to her home and she's not been able to live in the home, right? So in
Mm,
that instance, right, sh- all the inside is destroyed. One of the walls of the home has been basically demolished, and so forth. And she has roof issues, but you really can't do the roof and the windows like you said without having your walls and your inside repaired. So that when the roof and the windows and the doors go on, you have a whole structure again, right? So those are like the one-off situations, but
mhm.
majority of the people that have been impacted that are not in close proximity would basically have a benefit from this.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's
Because
just
with
the
the
fact, right?
explosion it would blow your windows out and that type of
Correct,
thing. So that
correct,
would help
correct.
them.
Right.
Right.
The roofs are lifting up in the doors. So at a very basic level it will help.
Mhm.
But then you also have individuals that live in the home that may potentially still have a mortgage, but they aren't able to live in the home. So now you're coupled in a situation where
Mhm.
they still have a mortgage to pay. They've been displaced. They're stressed out about where they're gonna live and how they're gonna, get to the next level of getting their house back repaired so
Yeah.
they could be back in their home. So it's a multi-complex situation.
Right.
And we have to, like I said, come up with solutions to address everybody's need, not certain pockets of individuals, but we need to come up with solutions that's going to meet everybody at the need that they currently have. So
And
it's
so
going
there's
to take
one more.
several it's going to take several modes of solutions. Um, to make sure that we are in actuality helping everybody.
Okay, and so there's one other thing you said. You said that they have to use county contractors. And my first thought was like, any of them black? How you get on that list? Well, I had two thoughts.
Well, I was advised that one of the contractors, because it's not a secret, it's public record, but one
Uh-huh.
of the contractors is minority home builders and I believe Habitat for Humanity. So those
Okay.
are the two vendors that you would essentially have to utilize with the SHIP program.
Okay, so minority home builders and Habitat for Humanity will be the ones that would be of any assistance. Okay.
Correct.
All right, all right. So, all right. So we talked about that. So did anybody do like a fundraiser? And I probably should know this. I should have,
Hmm.
and I hate that I don't. But did they
Yeah.
do like a GoFundMe or something like that to
Yeah.
help their family? And if so, then we gotta drop the link and help people to continue to contribute.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, I heavily utilize my social media for communication. So all of the social medias that I have, they are actually up there. I have them pinned up to the top for featured for any of the residents who have created a GoFundMe. I've only known of two individuals that have. One homeowner being Miss Annette Brown, and the other person is Mr. Sonel Timothy. I did have outreach for the homeowner who house actually exploded. And I had actually put them in touch with some resources that potentially can help. But that home in particular is going to need more significant assistance than pretty much everyone
So
that
did
has.
Red Cross or anybody like that get involved to help them?
Red Cross did come in. However, I was advised that they only gave them 2 days in the hotel. Yeah. So that wasn't really sufficient. So a lot of them have been basically displaced, may have been living with relatives or just displaced altogether because I heard from the the actual owner of the other property, and they said that they were still at a hotel or something of that nature.
Wow. Well, we definitely gonna do something. And you mentioned, you said that there were like tradesmen and builders in that community. What is
Of
it that you would
course,
want? So tell us what you would like to see. How do you
I,
would you like to see
I
them
would like
utilized in
some
this
of these.
instance?
Right. I would like to see some of these trade men come together and be good stewards of the community, right? Not necessarily, I don't think that everyone would be able to provide free labor. It would be a nice gesture, right? But come in at a lower price point and trying to help your fellow neighbors get back on their feet. Sometimes it's not just all about the money, right? It's not about the money all the time. It's about doing good for others that have been faced with this type of situation. I know that I did put one of our tradesmen on the spot, and his home had actually been impacted as well. And I just want to give a shout out to Leroy Wilkinson. He's one of our plumbers, our journeymen in the community, and he did go on the record saying that he would offer plumbing services and supplies for anyone that has been impacted by this. And I'm just looking for more community members to step up to the plate like that and offer your services. Right now, there's a need for cleanup on the properties, like the debris that's on the private property itself are still there. We could formulate something where we all come together and say, hey, this particular Saturday, we're going to all get together at 10 o'clock in the morning and help get the debris and make sure that the removal of that debris is off of that property.
Okay,
So
so if you set up on a Saturday that I'm available, I will be there with some gloves on. I don't own no boots, but I'll buy a pair to go there and help you out. Okay.
right, I appreciate that. So it's those type of out of box things, right? That I'm looking for us to be able to help ourselves because that's the principle that our community was actually built on. And I'm talking about not the city, but the community of Carver Ranches. We
Mm,
have always been known for being helpers to one another. Okay, because when our families first came to this area, there was nothing out here. So they had to depend on the trades that each of them had to help build each other houses and so forth. So I don't want us to lose sight of that legacy that has already been laid before us. And there's many people that have been there for generations that remember and recall what I'm specifically talking about. So I want to get back to that place of us being and having a great sense of community. Community is different than being a city, right?
yeah,
Community is more so talking about the culture and how you're going to live day in day and what type of values you are going to have and so forth within that community structure. So I want us to value each other in the sense of that we are family and we are each other's keeper, and to know that if the cavalry never comes, that we have each other's back. You get what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So
So I
I
want
would.
to tell you one thing. So it's getting dark, and I know that, and I know I don't want to keep you up, but I want you to turn on the light in your car to see if that was me, you would have been not seeing me no more. Like I would just disappeared already, right?
Do the colorism because
Listen,
all
if
out
I was in
for
that light,
it. Yeah.
so that's one of the benefits of being light skinned because they can still see you. But if that was me in that light, I'd have been fading to black already. Okay.
Don't do me, don't do me, sis. Don't do me.
No, I'm just saying, so I just want to do a little light, but I won't keep you too much. But I'm gonna
Okay.
I'm gonna put the commission on the spot a little bit. I also heard you say y'all got like $8 million surplus in your general fund. Is there anything that the commission can do to assist these people in the community to help rebuild their houses or have a
Yeah,
place to stay? I
I
don't know.
think
I'm
that
just asking.
I really do believe absolutely, positively, yes, right? Because
Mhm.
when we become a city, we are saying that we are self contained and we're able to take care of ourselves, right? We at least need to show some type of effort on on the city level of what we're able to do. So for instance, last commissioner meeting there was a resolution about a developer that's going to advance funds to our small home repair program specifically for these people who have been impacted, right?
Y'all
So
trust
it was
that? Y'all trust that? What's gonna come with that money?
look,
Next, thing you know, they're gonna be owning them people house.
I don't know specifically, but they're offering up $51,000 to our community fund, which is usually geared towards our minor home repair program that
Mhm.
had been created internally in 2018. The other thing that the
I'm gonna
commission
need you to
did,
look to see what kind of strings are attached, if there are any. That's all I'm
you
gonna
know,
say.
I'm on it. You know, I'm on it. The other
Yeah.
thing is that Vice Mayor Brandon Smith did make a very kind gesture to take $1,000 out of his expense account to go towards additional funds for the residents impacted, which I think that was a very sweet and kind gesture.
Hmm.
However, the mayor went a step further and she amended the motion to include all of our expense accounts. Take $1,000 from, which is a very good gesture. But at the same time, that's also going to take away from us being able to do our jobs as commissioners. We use that expense account for travel expenses, for paraphernalia, for business cards, any expense that we have. If we need to go to a networking event and try to gain resources to bring back to the community, there's a cost associated with that, right? And we only get, I believe, like $3,600 a year in our expense account. And our
Mm.
fiscal year start from October to September. So a lot of that money have been either spent or there is an idea of where that money is going, right? So I'm thinking,
Yes.
okay, instead of taking funds that are already allocated, our reserves are unallocated funds that's just sitting there in an interest bearing account. You want to take something from somewhere that has already been allocated for a specific purpose to use in this vein, when we can make the decision to take money that from our undesignated fund account and say, hey, we're now going to designate this for this specific cause, for this specific purpose. They have to abide by a specific protocol that we specifically design. You see what I'm saying? It
Yeah, yeah,
becomes
but
more
yeah, because this isn't like something
personable.
that's gonna happen all the time. And with the investigation, y'all will figure out what happened. And if it's something that the city needs to do, they'll, implement whatever
They'll do
preventative
that.
measure. And
Absolutely.
hopefully Florida gonna take some of that infrastructure money and
Right.
help with the infrastructure, right?
Correct.
If it turns out that it's in fact an infrastructure issue.
Right. Then we can go from there. But we have to be able to expeditiously meet our residents at their need, because this is a traumatic experience, and adding stress on trauma just brings about depression. And we
Yeah,
already have issues with mental health in our society. And we don't need to make things harder, or create levels of, in my eyes, red tape to get what people need. We
right.
have to be the voices for them to say, hey, we need to do this to be able to help our people. We
Absolutely,
need to be able
absolutely.
to do X, Y, and Z, or at least put it on the table so that we can explore all of the options that we may have to be able to make the best decision collectively to help, do a positive impact in the lives of the people that we serve.
Absolutely. So I also heard you talk about Home Depot, and I've been to that Home Depot out there in West Park. So has any efforts been made to reach out to them on a corporate level to see if they can, if it's in a position, if it's time now for people to already to start rebuilding? Has anybody, or is that something that you all plan on doing? Is reaching out to Home Depot and see what it can do for the residents that's probably been spending money in Home Depot since they built that thing? So
Right, exactly. So the sad thing is that I feel as though we need a workshop on this issue. We need all hands on deck, to kind of figure out a solution for our people, right? And my thing is that we haven't even explored different ideas or ideals on what all is possible, right? We
mhm.
have not collectively sat down as a body in a workshop fashion where we could get input from everybody that's involved, because it's a team effort, right? Everybody needs to have a seat at the table to come together and brainstorm outside of the box on how we can effectuate change in the best positive fashion, the best possible way. So this is the idea that I have. I haven't been able to share this with anybody but the residents and different organizations. I've been trying to figure out whether or not they will be able to assist in that capacity. So I haven't been able to bring this to the body, right? I brought it to the people that I thought that it would be a good idea, because most time when you have corporate entities like that that's in your backyard, they have a requirement
To spend a
to
certain
give
amount of
back.
money. Yeah.
Right,
They have
right, to give back.
social justice
Right,
initiatives that they're doing. They have marketing dollars that they can use. Because can you imagine?
correct.
They can make a whole commercial about how they rebuilt that house in, West Park and bring,
Hello.
yeah,
You
yeah.
see what
So
I'm
absolutely.
saying?
Yeah,
So, maybe it's just because I just think different, and that's probably the reason, why I was elected, because I have a different approach to things. You see
right.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
those are just some of my ideas, and you just have to think outside the box.
And
Because when
and I
one,
think they still have those shows on TV where they be rebuilding people's houses. So somebody need to write a letter to somebody,
right,
and
this is what I'm
somebody need to
saying.
write a letter to them and get them to come over there and rebuild that house. I think they still doing that on one of them HGTV shows or something like that. So
Right,
go ahead and put that on
HGTV,
your
yeah,
to-do list.
HGTV,
Yeah.
HGTV. If you watching, come
We're
rebuild my
smiling.
house.
We're smiling, but it's an idea that somebody
Oh
need to
yeah.
call one of them, be like, y'all heard about this? Somebody come on over here and fix these people's house for them.
Yeah, but that would
So
definitely take a consecrated effort to
yeah,
be strategic about doing that. And it would take us coming together as a body and planning that
absolutely.
out.
Yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
not just going to happen by osmosis, and it's not going to happen just because we have this idea. We have to put work behind our ideas.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna shout out Leroy Wilkinson again with them plumbing services that he offered, even though his house had a little bit of damage. So thank you, Mr. Leroy. We appreciate that. And so the last thing I'm gonna ask, because again, we're getting late and we're getting to that 45-minute mark that I'm
Yes.
trying to stay within. Is you talked about the therapeutic services, because you're saying like with the trauma and then the stress and I mean I couldn't imagine having to try to figure out where I'm gonna go live in South Florida if something happened to my residence. On top of me already got to pay what I pay and then got to go pay to live somewhere else. I just can't imagine, right? So you
Right.
talked about those therapeutic services. Has the health department or anybody offered any services, or has the city referred the people out to something? What are we doing about that to try to keep these people up in their spirits up?
Well, we have partnered with Memorial Health with their Heal Program initiative, and West Park Family Matters structure that was instituted at a city level. So those partners have been making outreach and trying to make strides to provide trauma services to our residents. However, we are welcoming of anyone that is able to come in and help them in their efforts, because some of the initiatives are only like 3 sessions that they're able to offer, or maybe
Oh
6 week
yeah,
session or something like that. With something so traumatically impactful like this, sometimes they may need longer therapy,
term, yeah.
long term therapy and so forth. So this, we definitely have a good start on things, but for a continuum of care, we're going to try to or need to try to seek alternative ways to ensure that they continue to get the services that they need throughout their time of need.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, so wrap it all up. Thank you for all the great work. Well, happy about the town hall that you're doing. Let everybody know when the next commission meeting for West Park is and what else you want us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the next commissioner meeting is going to be February 7th. Our commission meeting started at 7 o'clock, and our commission chambers is located at 1965 South State Road 7, right by the Home Depot on the and the Dollar Tree in that plaza. And if you want to address the commission, I advise that you come in by 6:45 p.m. to sign in, because you do have to sign in to speak and make public comment. So I also would employ everybody to keep watch, because I do have an upcoming um, town hall that I'm going to be doing in late February. So I'm getting the logistics done with that. This town hall is going to be in the subdivision of Miami Gardens, because I do want to touch different areas of our community, because I'm elected to serve at large. And I want to hear from all of the residents who I serve, and to find out what their desires and their wants and so forth are from us as elected officials.
So
So,
parts of Miami Gardens is in West Park.
well, the subdivision of Miami Gardens, we actually had that name before the city of Miami Gardens.
Oh, okay, that's
So we've
okay.
always had a subdivision of Miami Garden. We also have a subdivision of Lake Forest and Twin Lakes, and then of course the subdivision of Carver Ranches, Hyde Park, and Utopia.
Okay, so that's clarification because I got a cousin that's on and she lives in Miami Gardens and she gonna be like, wait, what? I could so I ain't want her to call you to go help her with her Miami
Okay.
Gardens problems.
Thank you for saving me. I appreciate that.
So it's a subdivision called Miami Gardens that's in the city of West Park that
Yes.
Commissioner Dr. Touchstone is talking about. So all you Miami Gardens people, y'all call them folks in Miami Gardens about your problems, okay?
Absolutely. Well, I just want to put a plug in since we're talking about Miami Girl. I want to give a shout out to my girl, Angela Winter. She's running to be your next councilwoman in the city of Miami Gardens, seat 5. So look up my girl, Angela Winters. And it's Winter with a Y, Winter. So please support her. And it will go without mention that I'm a big supporter of individuals in Miramar, and I want to just give a shout out to Vice Mayor Alexander P. Davis. She is my mentor, and she's running to be your next commissioner for Broward County.
Oh, okay. She's gonna be on the Broward County Commission. Yeah, we need to make that happen, y'all. We need to make that happen. That's a good thing. And Joy B. Smith is running for her seat again in the city of West Park. And then Christina Everard is a candidate for seat 4 in the city of West Park. So those are the people that we're gonna shout out. And I also want to shout out Catherine Menace. She's running for District 2 in the city of Pembroke Pines to be, and that's a historic race, y'all. That's a historic race. She would be the first person of color, and I think woman of color, not only just the first woman of color, I think the first person of color that would sit on the Pembroke Pines city commission. So Catherine Menace, we got all these sisters and women that are doing great work, and we need to continue to support them in any way you can. Canvas, do door knocking for them. If you got some money, drop a little bit of $10, $5, $20, all of it help. So make a donation, go canvas with them, make some phone calls, do text messages, support those sisters and these women that are running to make our communities better. Because all politics is local, man. It's all local.
It's on a local level and goes up. And that being said, I encourage everyone to go and register to vote if you have not been registered. And if you want your vote by mail ballot, you have to request it on an annual basis. So don't get tricked by the politics. Do your homework and know who's always putting your community first.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Touchstone, for stopping by.
Got to invite me back. I look forward to episode 2.
Absolutely, because you're going to get Home Depot to help build that house. You're going to call them people on HDTV to put that thing together and make a whole episode. And I want you to come back and tell me about how you made all that greatness happen, okay?
All right. Thank you so much for having me, Sandra. It's always
all right. Have a good one. Good night. All right. Good night, everybody. See y'all. Have a good time. See you next week.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Elections have consequences.